Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano. You are listening to another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in one, two, three galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I would just call this show Online Marketing Moves. And we're coming to you live today. Today is Tuesday, February the 10th, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to be talking to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a jam-packed episode. Ladies and gents, it is warming up. I don't know about you, but over the last few months, not the last few months, but the last month, it's been very cold. I took a little trip to Indiana one weekend. I drove up to Indiana, drove back to Georgia. It was like 0 degrees. I said, "This is crazy." Okay. Um, I went down to Florida one weekend. It was cold. I said, "Hey, man, I thought this is Florida. This is nuts. I'm not liking this." But and I live in good old Atlanta, Georgia. We had 2 snowstorms allegedly. They were somewhere. It was more snow in the Georgia mountains than it was in Atlanta, which is great because the reason why people always like, "Hey, man, Georgia, Atlanta, man, they can't drive in the snow." Da 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 da. It's not that the people can't drive in the snow, it's that the people it's so many people, and you tell these people, "Hey, man, stay home," A lot of people, they're never prepared for the winter. They don't know, when to stay home, why they should stay home, just think, "Oh, man, it's okay." Then they get stuck, and then they look for help. And, in Georgia, do they have the most snow plows? No, it's not like Minnesota. You ever been in Chicago when it's snowing? Everybody has salt. You ever been to Minnesota when they have snow? Um, I don't even think I've been to Minnesota, Wisconsin during the snowstorms, and you just drive on through. You see, there's always a snow person, coming. There's always salt on the ground. You never think, "Oh man, I got to worry about this. I got to worry about that." No. But if you live in Georgia, you live in Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, you got to worry about that stuff. It's just the way it is. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's neither here nor there. Today, we have a great episode. Today, we are going to talk about not a vision plan, but a focus plan. A lot of people always talk about vision plans and vision boards and all this and all that. And today we are going to talk about focus. And the reason why you need a focus, the reason why you need to focus, the more you focus on something that you want to do, the better off you will be. I'll give you an example. Have you ever really wanted to date somebody, like really wanted to date them? You really wanted to pursue this person? Have you ever been down this road before? I was down this road one time with a young lady, and now I call her my wife, okay? But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Okay, me and my wife, we were not the best of friends at one point in our relationship, in our beautiful relationship. Okay, we were not getting along very well. We were not getting along at all. To be perfectly honest with you, okay. Um, we was uh, we was a tad separated. Okay, and I remember wife called me up, my girlfriend at the time. She called me up. We had a discussion, and it was, it was okay. Wasn't nothing bad. And she said, let's, she had some event she wanted me to show up to. I showed up. We went. Then we had dinner. And I remember the dinner. We was there for like 3 hours, and we was just chit chatting. And, we had a discussion, and she said, "I don't know, da, da, da." And then I thought to myself, you know what? I ain't going to put anything that we had in the past, any kind of, argument or, any kind of situation we might have had in the past. And I said, I am going to clearly focus on dating this woman with the utmost intention to get engaged and get married and move on and get on with our lives, because obviously there's a love there. There's a love that I have for her that I do not want to share with anybody else. There's a I want her to be my wife, dot 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 dot. So I said, we're going to focus, not about vision, not about, we're going to focus. And, sometimes ladies and gentlemen, when anybody, not just me, but whenever you want to focus in on something, something that you really want to do, something you really want to do, it's like, how much do you want to do it? You say you want to do it, but how much do you want to do it? And I really wanted to do this. So I said, let me hone in and focus. And I honed in and I focused and I said, you know what, every day I'm gonna do something different, do something nice, do something sweet for my woman, my wife. And I started with that, and it was baby steps, and it was baby steps. And I remember, uh, I would write stuff, I would write notes, I would do this, I would do that. And I remember I asked her to go on a trip with me. I said, "Hey, who want to go on a trip?" And she's like, and I said, "Come on, it'll be okay." And we went on a trip, and that was part of the focus. And we went down to Savannah, and I just remember we had a conversation, and basically, I just said, I will sum it up in so many words. I said, "Hey, um, you is it for me, sister. Okay, you use the one for me. I need you. Okay." And she said, "Oh, Big Daddy." I yearn for those words. No, she didn't say it. She didn't say any of that. But the point of all this is, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when you think too much about, oh man, I've never done this, I've never done that, I've never tried to do this, I've never tried to do that. If you ever go into the gym, and work out, and people say, January is a great time to go. Yeah, la, la, la. My cousin, every year, he works out. He likes to work out. He likes to stay in shape. He likes to talk. He likes to discuss his health, and I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Because it motivates me. To stay in shape. And but he really goes in there, he works out, and he enjoys it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. And we always laugh. He's like, "It's a lot of people in this gym in January," and I go, my February, what happens?" He's like, "Come on now, what do you think?" They gone. They all gone. Everybody starts off, "Oh, January, oh man, this, that, and the other." It's not about, January, New Year, new this, new that BS. It's your focus. Listen, we all have the kind of focus that we want to have on certain things. You want to watch that TV show, you find a way to watch that TV show every week. You want to go out there and go to the hookah lounge every week. You find a way to do that. You want to drink every week. You find a way to go drink every week. You know what I'm saying? You find money. I had a friend, he never had a job. He always found a way to get money for cigarettes. Amazing. And amazing how that works. You know why? Focus. Focus. Not the kind of focus I wouldn't want, not the kind of focus you probably would want, but hey, he had the focus every day. He would find a way to get cigarettes. Hey, that was all on him. That's neither here nor there. But hey, that was his focus. And so I tell you all that just to say, people people have you focus on what you want. You focus on what you want to do. Is people say, "Oh man, I would like to work on my health." Well, you can focus and work on your health. You don't have it doesn't. It's not going to be a overnight success. Unless you're on that Ozempic. But every day you work. Every day you work at it. Every day you work at it. Every day you work at it. It's like being in a relationship. Every day I think to myself, what can I do, to make because at the end of the day, my wife, we're gonna have one kid, we're gonna have two kids, and then 18 years from now, you hope, and you say, hey, your kids are gonna go off to college or they're gonna start working, and they're gonna have their own lives, eventually, in the 18, the 19, 20, 21, they develop their own lives, their own friendships, and they leave your house, and then it's just you and your spouse, and then it's like, "Hey, friend. Hey, where you been?" And if your focus is always just on your kids, 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 and you ignore your spouse, then it's gonna be hard to get that back, because it's hard to come back and be like, "Hey, honey. Hey, sweetie." And it's like, "Man, where you been? Where you been in the last 18 years?" So you want to always make sure that the things that are important to you, you have clear focus. Now, I say all that to say, you know, and this is why, I'm like, hey man, we're gonna get this podcast rocking and rolling, and we're really gonna get this podcast rocking and rolling because even though I didn't record for like a month, 2 months, um, in my mind, the podcast is always a focus of mine. I'm never far. I might have been far from the microphone, but I'm never far from the podcast. I'm never far from how can we turn this podcast into a top, into a top tier podcast, which is, it's a great podcast right now. It's probably the best in the world, but you got to get the advertising up, you got to get the marketing up, you got to get the whole nine up. So that will be the focus, that would be my focus. What are some of your focuses in the year 2026? And I know we're doing this February the 10th, but like I said, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there's been a lot going on the last month. I'm not going to keep explaining that, but after today, we're going to just move on, and we're going to say, hey, so like I told you, we gotta worry about focus in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about something more important. I know the other day I talked to you about the Super Bowl and my short, Sunday, Super Bowl show podcast. We talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about the NFL. I didn't watch a down of the Super Bowl, and that's okay. Some of you probably did. Some of you probably watched the halftime performance. Bad Bunny. I know Bad Bunny was a wrestler. That's where I know Bad Bunny from. I don't know Bad Bunny, the singer, the rapper. But I do know Bad Bunny has wrestled in the WWF, WWE. Okay, but hey, the Super Bowl. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. When it comes to commercials, when it comes to buying stuff, what gets you going more? Is it the meat? Is it the meat and potatoes of an ad, or is it the flair of the ad? Is it social media? Like what gets you going to want to buy something? Because I remember uh I don't watch a lot of TV no more. I watch, and then if I do watch TV, I watch the same stuff. So, you know, I watch Seinfeld, I watch Frasier here and there. I watch Andy Griffith. I enjoy a couple episodes of Sanford the Son here and there. I mean, when it comes to like new TV, my wife had me watch some show called Traders, one episode of that, and then I watched 20 minutes of Landman, and I've seen a portion of Yellowstone. Is it Yellowstone? Whatever. But yeah, I don't really watch a lot of that TV, I read a lot of the Bible these days. Well, over the last 5 years I've read the Bible quite a bit, quite a bit. But TV watching, sports. I still do enjoy the occasional, watch of a, hockey game. I watch a, I will watch a basketball game. I watched the Knicks and Cleveland on Christmas. I watched that game. That's the first game I watched all year. That was a pretty good game. So I will watch a sporting event here and there, but not as much. I watch hockey and soccer mainly. Some football here and there, sprinkled here and there. But when it comes to advertising, so me, I'm not a good judge of advertising because I see more ads on well, me personally, I still see ads on billboards because I drive, and I see ads in newspapers because I still buy I buy the Marietta Journal, so I see ads in that, and I see ads in the New York Times because I subscribe to the New York Times because I enjoy the games and I do enjoy the articles. And the Atlanta Journal, the Atlanta Journal Constitutional started doing less and less ads, and they went to digital. And I really don't like digital because I can do the digital, but my mind goes, I'm better reading the paper because, that's what I'm used to. I'm better reading the paper when it's in my hand. So the physical edition for the paper for me is something that I still can do. I know people, have run digital and they think the world is on digital, but people still like physical. I enjoy physical books. I enjoy physical mail. I enjoy things that I can see, things that I can grab. I have quite a few books that I read, and I'll still like to read the book. I enjoy the audio book. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of the people that say I'm listening to audio books. I am not reading the audio book. But, it is reading because, you are taking the information in. But I do enjoy reading, the book, seeing the book, reading the book, you know. But I'm saying all this to say what article, what kind of advertising can do you respond to? Like, is it online? Is it commercials? Is it TV commercials? Is it the billboards? Is it the newspaper? Is it the phone book? Yes, people, they still have phone books. What advertising, what can get you to buy something? Okay. What can get you to buy something? That is the question of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We'll be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. God bless each and every one of you. Focus, people. And as always, everybody, peace.